Wow, okay, there is a lot of excitement about what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks in the stock market, mostly because, well, in my opinion, Jerome Powell talks to us next Wednesday. And if it's anything like what he was like at NAB, which was that not Kathy Wood interview we saw last week, it should be pretty dang bullish or dovish into the direction of money printing, or at least turning the money vacuum off and going in the direction of support for the economy. In my opinion, this is one of the reasons why we're seeing this insane surge of gold today, because we're seeing a market that is ready for Powell to go dovish, and it's frankly great for now. Now, we don't know if Powell is going to be too late, but what we do know is right now we really miss negative catalysts. We don't have a lot negative going on. I'm going to break down, though, what Donald Trump just said, because we could see that this is probably setting up for the next big potential negative catalyst. We'll see. Gold, though, up 3.56%, which is absolutely wild. And, boy, that AWS outage, who had problems this morning? I'm scrolling on Webull with course members this morning, and the course member live streamers were putting the alpha report together, and I'm like, man, the sticks, what is going on? Webull got hit, Venmo got hit, United Airlines, Robinhood, Ring doorbells, Reddit, the New York Times, the McDonald's app, Lyft, Disney. The amount of companies hit by the AWS sort of centralized server, or sort of centralized software problem, rather than centralized servers, right? Because the servers are all across the country, but the software is centralized. But anyway, insane how many companies got hit by this. So just wild. But Donald Trump did talk this morning. He talked up the deal with Australia and signed a critical minerals rare earth deal with China, which is really interesting because if you go to the front page of the Global Times, which is basically the communist news network, not CNN, sorry, of China, at the very front page, the very first article is PLA warns away Australian P-8 Alpha plane intruding into China's territorial airspace. Right. So basically, China, at the same time as Donald Trump is meeting with the PM of Australia, is saying, hey, you guys are going into our territory here and you're pissing us off. It's kind of interesting, but it's also kind of classic of China. Anytime you get some positivity in the United States with other countries, China tends to do this where they try to go, well, we have problems with them. It's just, I don't know if this is sort of their way of negotiating or what. I mean, even during what Donald Trump said, I thought this was interesting. During Donald Trump's talk, Donald Trump is going, China now treats us with great respect. And at the same time, almost the same time, I get a notification from the Chinese embassy in the U.S. The facts show the U.S. is the real empire of hackers and the biggest source of chaos in cyberspace. The U.S. has hyped up the so-called China cyber threat theory, coerced other countries to stir up Chinese hacker incidents, and sanctioned Chinese enterprises and prosecuted Chinese citizens to confuse the public and distort the truth. Now, let's be clear, there are plenty of hackers in China, and a lot of them love using cryptocurrencies to cover up their tracks. This is not a slight against cryptocurrencies, it's just an observation. It's happening on both sides, okay? But I think more from an economic point of view, and I'm looking at Donald Trump talking up this rare earths deal. He even talks about how in 1 year from now we'll have so many rare earths we won't know what to do with all the rare earths, and that China is taking advantage of us. We're going to go to 155% tariffs by November 1st unless we have a deal. We'll meet in South Korea, though. I think we'll have a deal. I think we'll end up with a very strong trade deal. I love my relationship with Xi Jinping. However, if we don't get a deal done, we're not going to allow China to punish our farmers. China is in big trouble if they don't do business with the United States. We could threaten airplane export controls, and so we think that China will come to the table. We're way ahead of China militarily. We'll catch up to them on shipbuilding. We're ahead of them on AI, and well, have I told you how many wars I've solved before? I've solved 8 wars, more than any other president, 4 to 5 because of the greatest tariffs in the world. The Make America Great Again tariffs. We're doing so great. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so basically, what you want to take away from this is, between now and November 1st, we're basically just going to sit here and wait for a China trade deal. And come November 1st, we're probably going to get taco in the way of, well, we're going to give them a little bit more time. We just need a little bit more time. We're talking. We had a great discussion. Great. One of the best conversations ever. But we're going to do 60 days or 90 days to stop the steal. Stop the tariffs. Stop China. Work with China. So it just wouldn't really surprise me, which is frankly great for markets. This gold surge is concerning. It has a lot of people scratching their heads. We were talking about this in the Alpha Report this morning because, we're making plans for trading and which stocks we like and targets, or like, for example, we had one ticker this morning where here's a specific date, the day before the Powell event, that this particular ticker could peak out. That's the kind of stuff that we talk about in addition to, our top 10 stocks to buy for the next 10 years or otherwise. Remember, if you ever join the Alpha Report, you get lifetime access to all those programs. But understand, where's the bad news between now and November 1st? What, CPI Friday? Who gives a flying hooty doody? CPI this Friday, expectations are that it's going to come in at 0.4, 0.3, big freaking deal. If anything, I feel like we're going to miss to the downside on it. So I'm very optimistic. I think what Trump just said, and I watched every word of it, is really just his classic commentary, and I really got nothing out of it. And China's, puffing, so to speak, is also the same thing that we regularly get. We basically have nothing until November 1st, and probably then we'll even kick down the road, which is great for markets. This gold signal is a little bit of a warning, but the 10-2 yield curve isn't spiking. So it's very weird, the situation we're in. Donald Trump then talked about how Hamas doesn't have the support of Iran. Bingo. This is literally what I said when the Israel-Hamas deal was announced. I said the only way Hamas goes for this deal is if they don't have Hamas or Iran's backing. And I even, on video, you saw me pick up the phone and go, "Hey, Iran, China made this deal. We don't want to take it. Can you send us some more weapons so we can fight?" And Iran's like, "And no, we're not helping you right now." Because they got humbled, so you got to give Trump credit there. Love him or hate him, he's right when he says we wouldn't have a deal if it weren't for our strike on Iran. I agree with him. Now, obviously, we got some shenanigans going on right now between Israel and Hamas. That's expected. Hamas is a decentralized terrorist group, so you can't really expect one leader is going to guide them all, because there is no one leader. You got splinter cells everywhere doing their own stupid stuff. But anyway, Donald Trump did also say that Ukraine can still win the war. I don't think they will, but they could. I thought that was a very interesting line. Then Hassett suggested that the government shutdown may end this week because the Democrats wanted the No Kings protests. I think this is total fugazi. I think that Kevin Hassett is a wet blanket who maybe slightly heard Donald Trump suggest that maybe Democrats just wanted to wait for the No Kings protests, which I haven't heard at all. But Hassett's running with it on Squawk Box. I think that that's false. I think that Democrats want their health care negotiation, which is only health care for illegals thanks to Gavin Newsom, so you can blame Gavin Newsom for that, because otherwise, health care to illegal immigrants is not allowed via federal law, but we already know that. So, but this idea of the shutdown, ending this week, that would be bad news, because we'll probably get a jobs report that's not pretty. But I don't think we're actually going to shut down this week. I think we're more realistically going to be, reopened in November, maybe before Thanksgiving, and the politicians want to go back to the holidays. And so, frankly, I don't see how we can be bearish unless, there's some kind of new bank failure or whatever. Certainly not between now and October 1st. So I'm pretty excited about the next week and a half here. It's about 11 days. We'll see what breaks out. But when it comes to Powell, understand, let me give you a recap if you don't yet recall what Powell said. So Powell told us, wow, I'm just looking here, some of these sticks are doing absolutely phenomenal today. It's really incredible. You've got the mortgage plays up. You've got, wow, one of our stocks is up 14% today. Dude, people got mad at me in the public live stream when I'm like, I'm buying the dip. What was it, last Friday or something? People are trying to like, well, you're gonna lose. It's up 20 freaking points. That's great. Oh man, a lot's just, you get nervousness, you get bad news, and then what happens? People go back to buying the dip. It's like it ain't bad until we confirm either a recession or basically that. It's not bad until you confirm a recession. Anyway, that's great. But understand this with Powell. So Powell at NAB was really clear. He wants to end the quantitative tightening. But not only that, Powell wants to see support for this labor market. So he's dovish on the vacuum cleaner, which is good. I don't know if that is going to be dovish money printing anywhere, for potentially the next year, because you have so much of a lever to reduce rates. However, it will probably confirm not only a rate cut on October 29th, we'll have a rate cut then almost certainly. We'll probably get another rate cut in December, so we'll be at 25.25 continuously. Remember what Powell said on October 14th when he talked about turning the vacuum cleaner off. He says, we have other data beyond government sources. Tariffs are affecting prices, but CPI without the tariffs, so if you ignore the sort of more transitory impact of tariffs, which are more a one-time kind of price increase, what he says, if we ignore that, then we got to focus on jobs, and therefore, he says we're overweight longer-term treasuries, underweight shorter-term. Ideally, we want no MBS in the future. All of this, by the way, is bullish mortgage rates coming down. He says the data suggests we are on a firmer trajectory with more downside risks to labor. Obviously, there's no risk-free path. The labor market has softened considerably. The break-evens, though, are way down. So now it just all comes down to, what that data actually shows. Powell did talk about state-level data, ADP-level data, and potentially the normalization of the beverage curve. Now, this I thought was, or beverage curve, this I thought was the most interesting line out of the whole event, because Powell says we could be at that moment of that normalization, the start of it, right now. And that's something he didn't mention in his prior FOMC meeting. In the prior FOMC meeting, he talked about mixed signals, short-lived effects from tariffs, low fire, low hire economy. That was all pretty basic and cut and dry. The talk that now we might be at the moment where the beverage curve normalizes, which means the unemployment rate is going to skyrocket. That's a big red flag, and I would expect that dovishness to continue from Powell, which is bullish in the short term, because it means big rate cuts, and more support from the Fed, which is exactly probably why, as I said, gold is moving up and 10 years are coming down. People are like, crap, the Fed's going dovish. It means they're about to basically ruin the value of the dollar even more. Remember, the best way to hedge, typically, not personalized financial advice, against the erosion of the purchasing power of the dollar is to hold assets. Those assets can be stocks, they could be gold, they could be real estate. Assets are what kick butt in inflationary times. And I think that while I don't see major inflation ahead, I think that people believe everything is fine in the economy, and Powell's about to go really dovish, and so we're going to go from fine economy to basically, stimulative support from the Fed, which is just going to debase the dollar even more, and therefore gold up, stocks up, right? Real estate will go up too. And it's already been doing really well. We haven't had a single negative year, and certainly the areas where we've been buying with house hack, which is just crazy with how high rates have been, right? So, what does this really mean? Well, it does leave us scratching our heads, saying, okay, well, does this potentially mean Powell's too late? And there are real risks brewing. And if those real risks materialize, obviously the stock market's going to get destroyed, which is scary. I'm not here to make that video to say it's about to get destroyed, because we're not really going to get any of the data to indicate that happening, for weeks, because we don't have the jobs data. So, state claims so far are fine, at least what you could see, based on unemployment claims on state level so far, everything seems okay. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that if you're looking to do some trimming, you still have some time here. Anyway, that's sort of where my head is. I think Powell's gonna give us a nice little treat next week, and it's probably just gonna keep sending gold up, which is just wild. 3.6% on a day on gold. You could moon here, and then it does beg the question of, did we sweep the cockroaches under the rug, and how many How many are there left? That's what I'm most worried about. We talked about some of the risks. There are more risks that we talked about in the Alpha report this morning. There were 3 main risks we talked about in the Alpha report this morning. We also provided some dates on the best time, I think, potentially to do some options rolling on certain positions, potentially. Obviously, could be wrong. We did on Friday indicate that we were bullish the stock market rebounding from some of the drama that we had Thursday. We were also not enthusiastic about CoreWeave because CoreWeave is about to lose 137, and then today it did. I mean, it didn't do well on Friday, didn't do well today. We called that Friday morning before the market opened, which is great. Trump Taco is obviously fantastic. I know a lot of people are going to focus on CPI this Friday. I think it's mostly a nothing burger. Tesla earnings Wednesday. I'll probably do an earnings preview video on that. And then really, a lot of people are going to be analyzing balance sheets at some of these banks, so we'll see. But so far so good. The trailing stops are doing well. We'll put it that way. All right, folks. We'll see you in the next one. That's the update today, and enjoy your time out there. Goodbye and good luck.